You work really hard, you build up wealth, and you get to a point where you're financially independent and you have control. And what you can decide to do is totally retire. You could retire early. But what really shocked me, quite frankly, is that this article right here was about somebody who turned the age of 40 and decided to retire and then instantly regretted it. And we're not talking about over the next couple months or the next years ahead. This person retired on Friday and regretted it on Monday. You focus so hard on what you spend your money on. You build up this wealth, this ability to have your portfolio of investments actually pay you more than your day job does. Yes, that's possible. But then to regret it? I mean, that just seems awkward. So I need to dig into this. This right here is an Excel document that I created, really focused on the step-by-step process to have your portfolio achieve a massive amount of wealth. And it all depends on, first of all, how much you want your monthly expenses to be. So in this case, somebody wants $8,000 a month, and they want that to be inflation adjusted as time ticks on. That means their starting portfolio balance, and this is your FIRE goal, is $2.4 million. They're going to withdraw at 4% a year, assume that the stock market will continue to grow at 7% a year, and we're going to assume an average inflation of 3%. We need to get back down to 3% inflation. Let's say you retire at the age of 40. Here's what actually this looks like, and this is what's so powerful that it would be kind of cool if they taught this in high school, but they won't. But right off the bat, you can withdraw $96,000 in that year, assuming you'll grow at about 7% on average, and factoring in inflation. Your first year, you can live off of $8,000 a month. The next year, that will inflation adjust to $8,240 a month. It'll then go to $8,487. Sure, there's going to be good times in the stock market and bad times, but the beautiful thing about this, from the standpoint of the 4% rule of financial independence, that has been proven in the Trinity study, shows that this person doesn't really have a whole lot of chance of running out of money. And then when we see an article like this, it obviously caught my eye. Now, here's somebody that was a Google employee and retired at the age of 40, but then literally over the weekend, she regrets it. So I'm like, let me scroll into this. Here's a person, she's living in India for the last 10 years, working at Google, and she realized that a corporate 9-to-5 was no longer for her. I quit my job on Friday. By Monday evening, I was bawling. I was crying my eyes out because I realized I need to be with people. Okay, that makes sense. That's fine. And that could be somebody that truly just needs to be around people. Although when you have the ability to be financially independent and retire early, you have control over your life. You could actually do things that get you around people that might make you a little bit more happy. See, in this article, we're talking about somebody that has decided that the 9-to-5 life is not for her, goes and retires, but then misses that or misses the people aspect of it. And if that's the key, you're missing the people aspect of it, wouldn't you just want to go find ways to get more people into your life? Not necessarily go back to the thing that you didn't enjoy just to find the people. There are other ways to find people. That was interesting, but here's the one that really killed me. Because I start reading on in this article, I'll link it down in the description below so you can check it out. But then I see this particular paragraph right here. Look at this. Gwendolyn Mers, retired at the age of 28 in Northern Illinois after tracking her expenses and savings to the penny. That's awesome. That's what you want to do. But then she runs into an unanticipated problem soon into her retirement. She couldn't access part of her savings that were tied to retirement accounts. She wasn't earning enough from her side hustles, and she was paying a lot more for health insurance. That, to me, to be completely blunt, is a little bit of poor planning. Let's dig into this. When you decide that you want to become financially independent, there's a couple things that you need to focus on. The very first one is, how soon do you want to get there? You got to look at your current age, whether you're 18, 20, 30, 40, or 50 years old, and how much money do you need to live off of? That's got to be step number one. So if you say to yourself, I need $8,000 a month to live happily for the rest of my life, adjusted for inflation, I'm happy. That's what I need. So then what you want to do is stick to that and start building a massive amount of wealth. Now, there's a couple things that you need to focus on. If you're the age of 18 and you're going to retire by the age of 28 or 38, obviously you're going to have to save a ton of money into investments, but you want to make sure that they're the right investments. So when you identify your expense rate, you identify how big your portfolio needs to be, and if you're a Patreon member, you can hop over and check out this particular Excel document and plug in whatever number that means. It'll automatically adjust everything for you. $9,000 a month means your portfolio needs to be $2.7 million. You want to go kind of ham and have $15,000 a month? You need a $4.5 million portfolio. When you start investing that money and you plan on retiring before the normal age of retirement, do not put that in retirement locked accounts. See, we can take advantage of a thing like a 401k or a 403b, but why would you do above the match? Let's say your employer matches 6%. Maybe you put in 6% into that retirement account, they match 6%, and that's all you're going to put into that. Now, after the 6%, you take anything else that you can save, that you can invest. Put that into like a taxable brokerage account. Put that in something that you can withdraw whenever you want. You could withdraw tomorrow, a day from now, a year from now, or most importantly, when it's time to retire early. So if you retire at the age of 30, you have all this money in a brokerage account that can work for you, or something like a Roth IRA, as long as you're smart about when you withdraw these things. That is much better planning than sticking it into something that when you retire at the age of 30, you're stuck until the age of 59. That 401k, once it becomes available, is a cherry on top. Call it a raise on top of your FIRE portfolio. So in my opinion, this person just did very poor planning. Now, the first scenario is somebody that truly just misses people. I think you could still have retired early, found people another way. This other person just didn't do a good job of planning. So let's look at a realistic approach here. So let's say we want to live off of $6,000 a month. Now that assumes that we're going to be extremely aggressive with our expenses. We're not going to spend a lot of money. We're not going to live fat fire. We're going to focus on maybe not having a mortgage payment. We're going to focus on, things that only bring us joy and really live minimally. Again, you can adjust these numbers if you want. Let's say you're 20 and you're dead set on that. You're like, I don't care. I don't need more than $6,000 for the rest of my life, inflation adjusted. So portfolio balance needs to be $1.8 million. So what you would want to do, in the case of the 401k, we do maybe a 5%, 6% match. Everything's fine there. But to really amp up our investments so that we can retire early, what we're going to do is really focus on putting as much money away as possible. Now, this can be hard depending on what your life circumstance is right now. So for this example, let's just assume somebody who has worked really hard. They don't really have a lot of expenses. They don't ever plan on having a lot of expenses, and they're going to minimize and really focus on investing. That's their goal. They want that control. They want that freedom. They don't need to impress the Joneses. I don't know about you, but I struggle with that a lot, especially in my younger years. I really focused a lot on keeping up with the Joneses. I focused a lot on upgrading the car and this and that and the next thing. And I started to realize how bad that was. I traded in an Audi A6, one of those nice little Audis, right? Traded that in for a Honda Accord. Go ahead and laugh at me. Go ahead. I'll wait. Yeah. So if you're laughing at that, here's the thing. I've never been happier in that Honda Accord. Not only is the fact that it's paid off now because, it's not as expensive as an Audi, but it also has better technology in it. And it's something that, from what I understand, you can run these Hondas into the ground. Now, that's my choice, only because I want to focus on taking as much money as possible and investing it every single month. And if that right there is in the way of me trying to invest more money, I need to figure out a way to lessen or get rid of that expense. So that's why I decided to opt for the Honda. Less expense, still a beautiful car, gets me from point A to point B, and now I can focus on getting faster to the point of financial independence when I can have the control over my life. So let's say you're somebody like that and you're focused on finding a way to invest $2,000 a month. That's a lot of money, but you're going to live happily yet frugally. $2,000 a month at an average rate of return of 9%. If you started that at the age of 20, in 24 years, when you're only 44 years old, you are going to have $1.9 million. Guess what that means? You're financially independent and you have a choice. You can keep on keeping on. You don't have to retire. You could just keep on. Let's say you love your job. You can stay there, but now you have the power to say, F you. If your boss pisses you off, F you, I'm out. If something changes and you're not in it anymore, you have that ability. If something bad happens that was unexpected, having that ability to say F you is really the most peaceful thing in the universe, in my opinion, because think about it this way. If you were laid off from your job today And let's say if you have a significant other, that person's also laid off from their job. And at the same time, you get a little bit of a scare of a health concern. Meanwhile, something else stupid happens, like your roof needs replaced, or there's a leak in your house or apartment that you have to pay for. And you're stuck with all of this stuff just hitting you all at once. Wouldn't it be nice to have something like $1.9 million in the case of this example, to be like, oh man, I got laid off, but it's okay. It sucks, it's inconvenient, but it's okay. If that scenario stresses you out and you're like, oh my gosh, if that happened, I'd be totally screwed. That's okay. But we need to start making these changes today to get to the point of having that ability to say F you. If you're somebody who's avoiding financial independence, either because you don't know where to start or you're tying up your investments into only retirement advantaged accounts that lock it up until you're a certain age, it's time to really focus on your financial independence journey, not only building up to it, but also taking a look at different scenarios like we saw right here on this Excel spreadsheet so you can live your designed life. Your designed life may not be $6,000 a month, but you can design it however you want. And then once you know what your figures are, you build up to it. And how you figure that out is using the 4% rule. And you got to check out this video next to learn about the ultimate guide to financial independence. And we'll see you on the next video.